So the United States just launched 60 Tomahawk missiles at Syria. The joke of a president that people are saying is a good president, Donald Trump, is a complete idiot. Just blew up a Syrian airbase, completely destroying it. He's a complete hypocrite. He said in 2013 he wouldn't shut up about how going to war with Syria is just stupid and attacking Syria is stupid. And now that's exactly what he's done. And he's going to waste a whole bunch more of our money. He's going to kill a whole bunch of people, and he's going to basically enable ISIS to take over Syria and the rebels, the fake rebels. So this is a major turning point. It proves Trump's just a total piece of shit, and I think we all knew that already. Well, everybody who really knows what's going on and doesn't listen to Alex Jones and all these bullshit artists that have controlled the movement or attempted to hijack the movement, no agenda show, all these people, they just won't shut up about how great Trump is, and Trump's not great. Trump's not doing anything. He's just another puppet, and this attacking Syria proves it. So I'm going to go into detail on why this whole Syria thing is just completely insane. And it's once you see all this information, you're going to realize this is just, if you don't understand already, they want Assad out because he's a good president. And that's the same thing they did to Gaddafi in Libya. Whenever there's a president who's working for their people's best interests and they're building their country up, they have to be taken out because it's a global dictatorship run by this huge cabal of people, and Trump's part of it. And this is just proof of it. So anyway, they had the child reading off a script today, the 7-year-old girl who has been featured in news clips all over the internet. She's constantly on TV. She's constantly tweeting. They always feature her tweets. She's just basically a propaganda piece, and she's clearly reading a script that they gave her. It's just as sickening.
Bana, do you blame President Assad for this?
Yes.
What is your message to President Assad?
I am very sad. A lot of died and no one helped them. The world is watching. The world doesn't do anything.
What do you want the world to do?
I want to stop the war, and I want the children of Syria play and go to school, live in peace. Together we can help them. Together we can save them.
It's unbelievable that people are falling for this crap. And interesting, the creator Dilbert is calling this the gas attack completely bogus, and he points out a whole bunch of good reasons why it's bogus. I thought it was really interesting that the creator of Dilbert would be basically calling this a false flag. Some of the points that he brings up: the weird timing, super powerful visual persuasion. He thinks it was designed for Trump in particular. I think Trump knows exactly what's going on behind the scenes, and he doesn't need any coaxing. Suspiciously well-documented event for a place with no real press. No motive for Assad to use gas to kill a few dozen people at the cost of his entire regime. It wouldn't be a popular move. No, of course not. And supposedly they got rid of all of Assad's WMDs, or his chemical weapons stockpile. And it's not Assad, it's the Syrian government. It's the legitimate government of Syria, and they like to say, oh, it's Assad, it's Assad. Assad happens to be the president that the country elected. It's just unbelievable. The type of attack no U.S. president can ignore. Setup that looks suspiciously similar to the false WMD stories that sparked the Iraq War. Yeah, I'm gonna call bullshit on this. It's the creator Dilbert. That's pretty big. That's pretty cool. So when we actually look into the handling of the sarin apparently leaks through people's skin, and it's just completely hard to get rid of, and it really permeates everything. And they do have to wear chemical cleanup suits when they're handling any sort of bodies that were affected by it. But they have all these people, these white helmet people, touching the bodies. So it almost looks like a fake sarin attack. And where this area that it was released in is pretty populated, and there's only apparently 68 people that died from the sarin. So that would seem a low number. Ron Paul says the Syria gas attack could be a false flag.
Now, before this episode of possible gas exposure and who did what, things were going along reasonably well for the conditions. You know, Trump says let the Syrians decide who should run their country, and peace talks were breaking out. And Al Qaeda and ISIS were on the run, on maybe defeated. So it was like, you know, in spite of their problems with this foreign policy, it looked like there was some benefit, but it looks like maybe somebody didn't like that, so there had to be an episode. And the blame now is that we can't let that happen, because it looks like it might benefit Assad. So Assad, they claim, now went and released gas to kill a bunch of people. But, Daniel, we might not have much of a job here today, because I looked at the New York Times to find out, to get the explanation, and they said, worst chemical attack in years in Syria. U.S. blames Assad. So it's all over and done with. But not quite so easy, is it? What happened 4 years ago in 2013, you know, this whole thing about crossing the red line, and ever since then, the neocons have been yelling and screaming. Even part of the administration is still yelling and screaming about Assad using poison gases on his people 4 years ago. Not quite true.
Okay, Thomas Massey, representative from Kentucky, comes out saying that he thinks that the chemical weapons are he thinks the sarin attack was not done by Assad, and this news lady just kind of freaks out.
Hey, joining me now, Republican Congressman from Kentucky, Congressman Thomas Massey. Congressman, thank you so much for the time.
2013, if you remember, and he said that we should go to war with Assad, that Assad must go, and he came to Congress for authorization. We never gave it to him because constituents melted our phone lines. Frankly, people want us to take out ISIS, I believe, but it's dubious as to whether it serves the American interests to take out Assad.
Right, but that goes directly to my question.
What I'm saying is we might end up making the situation worse if we launch airstrikes, if we against their airplanes, against hard targets on the ground. So we really need to step back and take a good look at this. The first casualty of war is the truth, and it's hard to know exactly what's happening in Syria right now. I'd like to know specifically how that release of chemical gas, if it did occur, and it looks like it did, how that occurred. Because frankly, I don't think Assad would have done that. It does not serve his interests. It would tend to draw us into that civil war even further.
Who do you think is behind it? Who do you think is behind it?
You know, you've got a war going on over there. Supposedly, that airstrike was on an ammo dump, and so I don't know if it was released because there was gas stored in the ammo dump or not. That's plausible. I'm not saying that's what I think happened, but
You're more inclined to believe the position of what Bashar al-Assad is saying and what the Russians are saying right now than more inclined to believe what even your colleagues here in the United States believe is truth, that this is Assad, and what human rights observers over there say is Assad?
I don't think it would have served Assad's purposes to do a chemical attack on his people. So it's hard for me to understand why he would do that if he did.
Congressman Tom Massey, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Kate.
Rex Tillerson says steps are underway to remove Assad. Here's some images of the white helmets. They're the same people. If you look at If you look at the people, they're ISIS members and they're white helmets. So basically, the white helmets are just this PR agency that helps clean up ISIS bodies and ISIS casualties.